Anytime that there are Mainers making things with their hands, that's on our radar. But it's usually like pottery or textiles or something. Something as sort of left field as unexpected as these very high-end sort of, I don't want to say luxury, but bespoke puzzles coming out of, it's actually out of Bridgeton.
And the prices that these things fetch, we don't have to give them away. People will want to read the article to see that, but the prices are extraordinary.
There's a range, and there are some that are more affordable on like the low 3 digits, but there are some that are in the middle 4 digits. It's it's definitely like an heirloom product. You can also, however, join their club so that you can rent them, and that cuts down on the cost a little bit.
Winter is coming, and something that all of us rely on, although we never stop to think of it 99.99% of the time, is salt. And you have a photo essay in this issue about salt. How did this come about?
We have a contributing photographer, Greta Rebus, who is, for my money, one of the best photographers in New England. And when she says she's interested in something, I tend to say, go for it, Greta. And she said, you know, every day on the South Portland waterfront, I pass these otherworldly, huge piles of salt. And I want to know their story. I know it's road salt, but I want to know where it comes from, what it does here. And as a photographer, she was very interested in the strange sort of textures and shapes and colors that in a photographer's eye look like something out of the Sahara. Like, they don't look like something that you'd see in Maine. So Greta spent some time shooting with the permission of the Morton Salt Company, which, as in table salt, you know, the yellow umbrella girl, one of the largest suppliers of road salt in Maine. And we were able to tell a little bit the story of where it comes from and how it gets to our roads, which is not the Sahara, but it's in fact the Atacama Desert in central Chile. And just the path it takes from there to here is kind of fascinating.
As editor, were you a little skeptical at the beginning because you thought, you know, visually salt doesn't quite pop like autumn foliage does?
And it does not look like autumn foliage. Some of the close-ups that Greta looked back, it looks like you're looking at a moonscape or some far-off planet, and she really kind of got granular where it's almost like you want to hang it on your wall. It's almost like a piece of fine art rather than a piece of editorial art. But we trust our people, and when they're excited, we get excited, and I think readers will probably like it too.
I love old traditions in Maine that haven't died out, but are kept alive by people who have a passion for them. And you've got a profile of a guy who still does logging by horse. Gets the logs out of the woods, the trees out of the woods, by horse.
Which comes with certain advantages, namely that you don't need as wide of a path as you would to get a skidder in, for example, and the horses are a little bit more nimble. They can get through sort of tight areas without scarring up and damaging trees that are surrounding, so you can cut a little more selectively. Scott Stevens is the fellow's name. He's a former game warden, and he is one of just a couple dozen, I guess, loggers that still do this. So we had a chance, Virginia Wright, one of our contributors, to spend a day with him, and Dave Dostey, an excellent photographer, took shots of him and his beautiful, beautiful draw horses working out in the woods. Pretty neat to know this still happens.
And let's end with another tradition being kept alive by some folks who just aren't going to let it die. And that is herring smoking being done in South Bristol.
It's kind of a running theme here, and Ken and Todd Lincoln are the name of the two brothers in South Bristol who took over this old salt shack that was donated to the South Bristol Historical Society, I want to say a little over a decade ago. And fishermen in the neighborhood, they donate a portion of their catch. There's a long history of fishing for herring in the neighborhood. They are doing it right now, as a matter of fact. I happen to know this time of year they fire up the wood stove. These herring hang on rods, and they're in there smoking for the better part of a week. If you would like to taste them, you can call the South Bristol Historical Society and purchase a rod, which I think is like a dozen or 13 fish.
I love smoked fish, but these guys acknowledge it's not to everyone's taste.
Herring is an acquired taste, but it has, heritage. The Wabanaki people were eating herring long before Europeans showed up. Early colonists, ate them, and there was a robust canning industry in Maine for years and years. So these guys are kind of keeping that alive.